Thank you very, very much for being here. We have a tremendous program, a great keynote, and really nifty panelists. And I see a lot of faces out there of people who are deeply engaged in e-learning. And we have Provost Langley to open up with some welcoming remarks.
Good morning. And I'd like to offer a preliminary welcome to you to the what a political economist in the 50s would describe as a takeoff, suggesting a form of departure to some somewhat defined destination. Although in this case, I'm not too certain that we can speak specifically of that destination. But the inauguration of this very important center as part of the present and future constitution of the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and specifically as an integral part of University College. This center will be engaging in activities consistent with the ambitions the university has for itself. First, in basic research. And as a research university, we like the ring of that overall objective. And if you want to make it part of a broader mission, yes, I want to speak about the mission a little later. Second, to help developing instructional models, instructional design models. This is an area of endeavor which speaks of a future in which we think we should occupy a rather leading role. Developing models here, therefore, will not only help us as an institution, but I think will help guide the direction in e-learning for the country as a whole. Thirdly, it will be ensuring access. That's part of the university's mission. It's part of all public universities' mission, or ought to be. But in e-learning in particular, we're talking about a certain type of future. I don't know whether you read the Globe this morning, or you listened to your news recently, that our colleagues on the other end of the red line seeking to emulate certain things we seek to do. Now, I can remember, and I don't recall who said this, but that emulation is a form of flattery. And as long as we take flattery for what it is, I know we're not going to be in any wise reduced to immobility or some comfort in this area. But it bespeaks something about the future of education. That the walled castles within which the academy flourished are coming down. And that the future for us is one in which e-learning will be interacting with some of the best features of our traditional approaches to enrich the future in which all of us, our children and our grandchildren, will be seeking some common basis for thriving. We also have an objective about publishing a peer-reviewed journal on e-learning. a peer-reviewed journal, an e-learning. This will be coming from University College, and it's under its future name. And you will understand that we'll be inviting the participation of the world at large to the sharing of knowledge through this journal. Allow me to say that these objectives, and I'll call them objectives in a moment, must be seen within the context of an emerging, you've heard from me on this, single global society. And if we think of the world as both a classroom as well as a center for creative activity for all of us, in which we mutually learn from one another, I don't think you can find an instrument that is more potentially contributing to common learning than we have at present in what we might call the digital universe. So, University College should be seen as a major leader in what we do on this campus. And I hope I will not be seen as being unfriendly to our other academic units when I say I hope they will be looking very closely at University College as a guide in part to our common future on this campus. Welcome to the discussion today. I see you have some distinguished colleagues who will be helping us understand this future. And I hope to sit and learn from you. Remember, I'm a dullard, so instruction to me has to come in rather simple terms. Thank you.
No, I hate to follow Winston because he's so good, and I give a lot of talks too, as Winston does, and Winston's style is very different than mine. He uses metaphors and words like walled castles, things like that. I would never have described Harvard as being that university at the end of the red line, but but I'm going to try my best as Dean of University College to talk a little bit about CIEE and what it means. I want to thank you for being here. In 1966, the Stanford University educational philosopher Patrick Supps predicted, now this is 1966, that in the future it would be possible for all students to have access to the service of a personal tutor in the form of a computer. That's 46 years ago. And think about how far we have come in 46 years. Think about the various forms of electronic technologies for education and learning. Online education, video teleconferencing, web-based training, mobile learning, and all forms of electronic text and graphics and video and animation and digital audio. We are in the midst of a rebirth of online education. Winston referred to an article in the Boston Globe. This is just a series of, I think, revolutionary paradigm shifts in how we think about learning. I like to call it an online renaissance because think about what's happening in the environment today. Think about the fact that when Supps mentions all students, he talks about the two great equalizers in our society today, the internet and education. Winston talked about access. That's what this is about. E-learning is about access. It's about equal opportunity for all students. What a wonderful thing to do. E-learning, I think, is about empowering learners. I think it's about bringing learning to people instead of people to learning. And that's a paradigm shift as well. E-learning has changed the face of higher education. And that brings us here today. Alan, I want to thank you for organizing this event. Fran, wonderful job in publicizing it. But I want to make special note to my friend and colleague, Dennis Maxie, because before I came, Dennis said, I have an idea. And the idea is the Center for Innovation and Excellence in E-Learning. He said, let me show you what this is about. And I had a number of emotions. One is how lucky I am to work with such an individual. But also, what a wonderful idea. What a wonderful idea to have a collaborative center for innovation and excellence in e-learning. And in this collaborative sense, we see CIE as sort of the exemplar of we learning. That it embraces a simple and profound concept that organizations possess really a collection of knowledge and experience which should be shared. And that's in part of what CIE is about. We often use the word creativity and innovation interchangeably, but they're in many ways complementary. Creativity is about coming up with ideas, while innovation is about bringing ideas to life. And that's in part what CIE is about too. It's applied research. That makes CIE very important. I think when we bring together the expertise and interests of different academic fields and support those units to promote e-learning research, both among faculty and students, we're doing a very important thing. It will encourage a new generation of e-learning researchers, and you're going to be seeing some of those today. We will learn more about learning. That's, in many ways, what CIE is about. We are going to discover things together, and the research that's done will help us do what we do better as teachers, as mentors, as educators. This research may be asking some very different questions that we've never been able to ask before. Questions like, for example, how well students acquire and apply the information that they learn months after class has ended. With the data mining that we can do, with the work that our researchers will do in learning analytics, those kind of questions can be answered. Online education, and e-learning encompasses much more than that, but online education is not an enemy of face-to-face learning. It's a powerful and inspiring ally. So what these researchers will do, what these researchers will publish, what they'll contribute, is going to have enormous impact on the face-to-face classroom. So when we think about the primary goal, as Winston said, about the findings of e-learning, we're looking at it as a distinct body of knowledge, as a discipline, as a science. It will serve as a connection regarding e-learning research on the campus and among the UMass system itself. It will be a thought leader in e-learning. And its primary purpose is to encourage and promote and sponsor the study of e-learning, not only in the university setting, but in the corporate setting and in the public sectors. Our initiatives are going to support the basic research and the development of new design tools, the creation of instructional design models, but importantly, the common theme will be accessibility and usability. Applied research. It's going to perform a very important role in the UMass Boston campus and the UMass system. You know that UMass Boston has a very strong commitment to online learning and the values that support that practice, values of access and excellence and innovation. UC has a unique capacity as the academic home. The instructional design program, for example, already provides curricula that explores many of the more practical aspects of e-learning. Our graduate instructional design association, student organization, brings together young researchers interested in the field. We are committed to a rich e-learning presence and providing faculty and researchers with the tools and methodologies and support that will maximize student learning, educational effectiveness, and the importance of research in this fairly new discipline. How does it fit into UC? Well, University College has one of its charges as a task of looking at technology's effects on teaching and learning. That's one of the things that we do. And remember that there's no single evolutionary tree in the history of e-learning. The history is multivariate. So as a research subject, e-learning is multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary. That's University College. That's one of our tasks, is to bring disciplines together. And it's going to bridge many knowledge areas covering a wide range of research topics. And there will be different scholars from different disciplines conducting e-learning research on a number of themes: pedagogical issues, technological issues, organizational issues, sociocultural issues. Given the diversity, complexity, and interdisciplinary nature of e-learning research, it makes sense that CIE is housed in University College. Given that both lifelong learning and e-learning are global in nature, it makes sense that CIE is housed in University College. Given that innovation is about the difference between an idea that quietly dies and the same idea in another's hands that comes alive, CIE's home is natural for University College. It's the application of ideas that help to make change for the better. That's what this is about. And it's an entrepreneurial leap. And we are the academic entrepreneurs on campus. Makes sense. Given the entrepreneurial spirit of University College, it makes sense that CIE is housed in UC. We see innovation as about connections. It's about ideas and people. And that's what UC does. So it makes sense that CIE is housed in University College. I talked about thought leadership as being an important part of this. It will also be a hub for a broad range of initiatives: basic research, new design products, new models, issues about accessibility and usability, and best practices. What are the best practices related to various modes of learning? So, you are about to see a sample of the new pioneers in e-learning research. I'd like you to keep in mind that old world learning models do not scale to meet the new learning challenges we have out there. We are talking about 21st century learning. E-learning is not an adversary to face-to-face learning. It's a powerful and inspiring ally. So, we are embarking on a journey today, a new adventure. There are going to be many dots to be connected. We see enormous contributions coming from our researchers in this new field of knowledge. So we're going to keep working at this very, very hard. And the field and the future deserve it. So thank you and welcome.